Done it again. This is my second cup of tea today, but in reality I've had 0 cups of tea because I keep making it and forgetting it. Stick to a glass of wine. Hello my lovelies and welcome back to Along the Lanes. I've got a little admission to make. I've spent the past week agonising over how I would restart. It feels like it's been so long, it's been a month since the last episode, and it felt like, you know, when you've got that friend and you know you should give them a call or you should kind of text them and see how they're doing, and you leave it, and then you leave it that little bit longer. Oh, and now you've left it so long, it's getting a little bit awkward. But then eventually you decide that you're just going to pick up the phone, give them a call, or in my case, text. I hate talking on the phone. And as soon as you start, it feels like old times. Everything's good. So here we go. We're back. And it's been a great time over Christmas. The last episode I recorded was published on the 24th of December. So since then, I've had the family over for about 10 days for Christmas. It was great fun. My sister came over from Canada and we had my absolutely lovely little nieces who came as well. And their parents, of course. But, you know. Okay.
That's really, really nice. And then there's a big trail of snow all around the house.
Yum. Yeah. Right, let me add a bit more on the roof. Hang on.
You hungry, Evie? Are you eating too much candy?
No. Okay, you have to take a bite with no hands.
We're not going to sleep tonight.
Oh, what, in here?
I'll get there. Hi. Yeah. Get there.
I'll give you a pound.
1, 2, 3. Hiya.
We love each other. Let's go. Star.
I literally did no knitting over Christmas. I had no time to sit down and knit. So that drove me slightly crazy, but it was made up by the fact that we had a lovely time with everyone. Then the start of January was just a bit rough. Had tonsillitis, so I didn't record anything because I couldn't talk. I mostly slept. So now I'm back, now I'm good, and I've got tons to tell you. So I was thinking, let's have a look at the lovely things that I received for Christmas, a little bit of stash acquisition, a lot of stash acquisition, and a few projects that I've made so far this month. You can probably see that things have changed a little bit behind me. I used to have a loom, a rigid heddle loom, which I got about 2 years ago, which I thought would be one of the new crafts that I would take on. And do you know what? Over 2 years, I think, I made about 3 projects. So this is one of them. Oh, the great irony that just as I was selling it, I finally decided that I had to get the warp off of it, and I didn't want to waste the lovely yarn that I'd put on. So the warp is the length. So in this case, it's what goes in the long direction here, and I'd used a mix of kind of leftovers and a few nice yarns that I'd found at a car boot sale, and I didn't want to just take it off and waste it. So I thought, well, I've got a week, let's just weave this. So I'm quite pleased with this weaving project, but I have to say, I didn't find a deep, passionate love for weaving over those 2 years or over that last week. So it's now gone to a different home, and instead I've brought in some more storage. More storage means more space for yarn, right? And one thing that I did in order to kind of make the most of my space and everything is the last cube in the storage. I've put all of the scraps, all of the kind of slightly heavier weight bits and bobs that I had left, with the intention of making tons and tons of hats. And I've already started making some hats. So here's one that I made in extremely bulky yarn. This was a mix of bulky and super bulky, so really kind of nice and thick. And it's called the Helix hat. Great way to use a small amount of yarn of leftovers, because you're essentially going around with 3 different colors or more if you've only got tiny bits of other colors. So here I'm using 3 colors all the way up to the top, and it's so simple. It's really great. So I've made one in bulky, and I have made a few in slightly lighter weight, but I have to admit they are going like hotcakes. I'd made one that had a kind of sparkly aqua color and teal and grey, and that one's already gone. A friend has taken it for her daughter, and I have got yeah, they're mostly gone. I've got another one on the needles that I've started that's almost the same colors as this, and I think I'm just going to keep going until I empty that bucket of scraps, and just everyone's going to have Helix hats. Why not? So it looks like I've jumped in straight to my straight to projects. So let's carry on. I have also got some lovely socks, which I don't know if I showed you before Christmas, using Hedgehog Fibers twist sock, and it's quite a nice, light, simple colorway, but if you look at it closely, the flecks are just so interesting. So there's a lot of teal flecks, there are a few kind of orangey red ones, a few pink ones, and then slightly kind of denser little stripes of brown and black. I have made socks before. As you can see, you can kind of see one of them. So there's the original socks I made there. I've got a couple of pairs that are already in the wash. But every time I have made, let me show you. Every time so far, I have made a flap, a heel flap. So I'm starting from the top, I knit up to here, and then you work the heel separately, and then rejoin with the rest and carry on all the way to the toes. But I wanted to start making some sort of short row heels. So rather than have kind of that chunky section at the back, it would kind of follow the curve. And I tried a no wrap short row heel that came from a big book of socks that I was given a few years back. And keeping in mind I have done short rows before, and I thought I could do them just fine, and I completely mucked that up. So I pulled it all out. Thankfully, I have not had any issues pulling the yarn back out. If there's one tip for that, I used a slightly smaller needle. So I used the 2mm needle, and then I just went along at about the height where it divided for the heel at the back, and I just picked up the right leg of each and every stitch, and then counted that I had in my case 32 stitches, and then bloop, I could let go of the rest of the heel, and I knew it was going to be fine. And every time I managed to do it right, and I say every time because I messed up the short row heel twice. I tried a different kind of short row heel, and it went just as badly. So I decided I would try the Fish Lips Kiss heel. The name has always made me laugh. I have heard lots of people mention it, and I thought it was about 11 p.m. one evening, and I was frustrated that I'd screwed up my short row heel twice. So using the little PDF, so you buy the pattern which explains how to make great socks, how to make sure it fits well, and includes the explanation of that Fish Lips Kiss heel. And I tried that, and It blew my mind. It is just brilliant. It's fantastic. If you're ever looking to do a kind of short row heel, so the kind of heel where you carry on working on your sock, um, well, it's always just the back, so where the back of your foot's going to be, but you want something really straightforward, really easy to learn, really easy to do with any number of stitches without bringing a pattern with you. Try it. It's awesome. I already can't wait to make another pair of socks just so I can try it again. So where was I? Yeah, so eventually I managed to get past the heel, and I'm now just starting onto the foot section. I'm doing 2 at a time. The main reason I'm doing 2 at a time is because when I tried making socks in the olden days, about 4 years ago, I always got second sock syndrome. The main reason I got second sock syndrome is because I wing it. It doesn't matter if I have a pattern, I'm still going to do something different, and I'm going to think, oh, I'll just remember it when I get to the second sock. Of course I don't. So I start with the second sock, and it looks nothing like the first one, get frustrated, put it aside for a while, never finish the second sock. So I've got a few single socks sitting in my cupboard. I need to decide what I'm going to do with those. Either try to read the first one and make a second one, or rip it out and use the yarn again. I don't know, but I definitely think that 2 at a time with fish lips kiss heel. Either currently I'm doing them top down, but I think next time I'd like to try toe up, because then you can make sure that you use as much of the yarn on the cuff as you've got left, because at the moment I end up with kind of little leftovers. But that's not the worst thing. You can always make socks with all the leftovers, which I'm looking forward to doing, actually. So these are my socks, and I have also been working on socks for my husband Andrew, and for him I have been I'm doing an afterthought heel. So you can see there's a little line of green there. So when I'm done the sock, I'll open that up and I'll do the heel there. The reason for that is because then you can keep the stripe going quite nicely. This is the KnitPicks Felici in Baker Street, which conveniently I was working on while watching the Sherlock special this Christmas. So 2 pairs of socks on the go, and I think the next one, I've received some lovely stash over Christmas, and I've bought a few things. So we'll look at that in a minute. So I've got 2 pairs of socks on the go. I haven't touched my exploration station over Christmas, so I need to carry on with that. So those are kind of my main projects, and then I've obviously got some of those crazy Helix hats, which are just kind of very easy and mindless, and now I've tangled all my projects together, so shove them on the floor, forget about them. So between the lovely things that other people got me for Christmas and the few stash acquisitions I've made since, there's quite a few nice little bits to show you. Where do I start? So one of my sisters, who currently lives in New Zealand, sent me a skein of New Zealand merino, which is really lovely and soft, and clearly she knows my colours because it's got some lovely teal, it's got some pink, it's got some green, a little bit of brown. It's pure merino, so I'm not sure. Might be socks, but might not quite be sturdy enough, so it might end up being a shawl or a cowl or an interesting hat. I think this would probably look fantastic in garter stitch because it would kind of merge all the colours together. What else? I spun this one a few days ago out of, again, it's kind of trying to work with what's in the stash and make a little bit of space. And this was a bat from Hilltop Cloud that I got a few years ago, probably as part of her kind of lucky dip that she does usually after she's done a whole round of festivals, and people perhaps have been kind of either kind of putting their hands in the yarn, in the fiber, and kind of matting it a little bit, or they might just be a little bit squashed because they've traveled a lot. But this one was actually in fantastic condition. It was perfectly fine, and I just decided to spin it quite nice and thick and I'm thinking that's likely to become a hat because it's just got that kind of slightly thick and thin, imperfect feel that would just make it quite nice and cozy and funky. So it's a nice blend. It's 50% merino, 35% Shetland, 10% bamboo, and 5% silk noil. So the silk noil adds kind of little clumps and lumps in it. And it's got little bits of fiery orange. The rest is kind of ochre. And I think that's going to be quite a fun one. I've got the Hedgehog Fibers Club. Do you want to see them? They are fantastic. Of course, club people, you can close your eyes for a few seconds. So these are the two skeins from the sock club. So this one. Again, I'm not naming the colours because somebody might not want to see it. And I have to say, this one I can't wait to knit with. I have seen other people's skeins in the spoiler thread and they're completely different. We've got quite a variety. But I just like the fact that it's kind of the undertones are all quite kind of neutral and pale. And then you've just got such bright speckles. I think that's the thing about Hedgehog Fibers is they're just crazy. The colorways are just brilliant. And the twist sock one, which is, again, the other club, is just to die for. I absolutely love this one. So it's kind of, block your ears if you're part of the twist club and you don't want to hear me. So it's a lovely, really rich, really vivid blue, kind of makes me think of the Caribbean, and then it's got the kind of purple, pink, orange. It goes through the full scheme of color, and it's called Fiji. So there you go. I'm thinking Caribbean, she's thinking Fiji, but I absolutely adore it. I also couldn't resist. Old Maiden Aunt created a special colorway unfortunately after the death of David Bowie, and the colorway is called Hunky Dory, and I couldn't help it. It's on sparkly sock base, perfect for socks. I got two skeins, probably one for me and one to give away. So it's a mix of kind of orangey shades and blue tealy shades. So in between where they merge, they go a kind of brownish grey, but not a muddy kind. It's just really quite nice, and it's my first order from Old Maiden, and I've been wanting to order from her for quite some time because she's a fellow Canadian living in the UK, first and foremost. Well, no, not first and foremost. First and foremost, her yarn rocks. So I got these, and as part of that same order, I also got a Aran Weight Blue Face Leicester, so superwash, and I think that's probably going to be a cowl of some sort, but the name made me laugh. It's Mother's Milk, which is a reference to Firefly, which is a TV series that died too young and that is very close to my heart. So the name made me laugh and I thought it was a fun colorway. And a Corriedale Sport Weight. I think it's quite a heavy sport weight. To me it's a generous DK in Famous Blue Raincoat, so it's a purpley blue, and 380 yards, so that should make quite a nice pair of DK weight socks. As you can see, I'm kind of gone sock obsessed. My sock making is nothing compared to some of the other podcasters who have just been producing socks at a completely crazy rate. I have no idea. They must have 4 hands. There's no way they can get anything else done during their day if they're managing to get so many pairs of socks. And finally, last bit. This isn't so much a stash acquisition, this is more of a completed project. It's the last of the fibre that I had previously spun but had not yet plied from a batch that I started almost 2 years ago, where I went full circle. I really went from choosing the base fibres, choosing the colours that would go in, putting 600 grams, so that was 12 bats, through the drum carder, and carding them into big fluffy bats, spinning them, plying them, washing them. So these are all 3 plies that I've made from scratch, and theoretically I want to make a jumper. Whether that happens, I don't know. But I have now completely spun and plied and washed all of it, so it's ready to knit. Probably swatch first, though. I'll be a good girl, I'll make a swatch. In the non-yarn acquisitions this year, Andrew got me this lovely set of Letraset markers for Christmas, and I've had a play with them, and I have to say I'm not the most confident when it comes to drawing or when it comes to painting. I really struggle to take an idea from my head to paper. That's part of why I've enjoyed making mixed media cards, because really, even if you get it wrong, it actually looks quite good. While when you're trying to draw something, if it doesn't look like you were expecting, it doesn't feel right. So I absolutely love them. I've played with them. I've made I've made myself a little reference card of what the colors actually look like once you use them. And I have done a little bit of drawing, but I think that's something where I'll just have to give myself a little bit of time and accept that it's not going to be perfect right from the start. But it's fun and it's something new, and it's forcing me to challenge myself, which I really like. I've always had a bit of a bone to pick with January resolutions. In fact, when I was a teenager, I was almost anti-resolution, where I would make a point of not starting something in January just because that's when everyone else starts their resolutions. I'm a bit more mellow about it now. I'll start things when I want to, and I'll do my best to stick to it, but it's not necessarily going to be because it's a new year. So doing more drawing, doing more sketching, doing more mixed media painting is one of the things that I want to try and do this year. I think I've got the perfect space now. I've made a little bit more space by getting rid of the loom, so we'll see how it goes, but I am definitely going to share with you whether it's great, whether it's terrible. Why not? You've got to experiment, you've got to try. So it's great to be back. It's great to have started recording again. And in the next episode, I'll be telling you more about the battle against boring, about my goals. I'll share some of the goals that you've told me about in the comments of the last video, and we'll get started. We'll properly crack on, and I'll tell you, of course, about the giveaway prizes that'll be associated with it. So I hope you've had a great January so far, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye bye.